and welcome to another episode of History's Heroes. And boy, do we have a fun show for you today. So let's begin. We all know who Florence Nightingale is.
Did someone say Nightingale? Well, yes, we've all heard of her. But I have a question for you. Have you heard of Mary Seacole?
Refresh my memory.
Well, Mary Seacole was born in Jamaica and was a nurse just like Florence. They even nursed in the same war. Except Mary did things just a little differently.
Yes, I have heard of Mary. During the Crimean War, Mary would treat the wounded right there on the battlefields, while Florence would be treating them in the hospitals.
Wow, Mary liked to live dangerously.
Indeed she did.
Now it's that time of the show where we time travel.
Where are we going today?
Well, to the Crimean War, of course.
Do you guys at home know what the Crimean War is?
Well, don't worry if you don't. Come on, we'll show you. You know what we need to do? In 3, 2, 1. We're here. The Crimean War broke out in October of 1853 because of conflict between Russia and Turkey. Britain and France got involved the following year, joining the side of the Turkish.
Most of the war was fought in an area of Russia called Crimea, hence the name of the war. Nowadays, Crimea is a part of the country Ukraine.
The Crimean War was the first war to introduce new technology. At the time, new technology meant explosives and naval shells.
The soldiers' primary weapons were single-shot rifles that had bayonets or knives attached to the end. This was some time before ammunition magazines had been invented.
The living conditions during the war were far from perfect. Diseases like dysentery were killing more soldiers than bullet wounds.
This is what prompted the introduction to treating the wounded with modern medicines. Nurses would travel to Crimea to give as much help as they could.
It was the likes of Mary Seacole and Florence Nightingale that have made the Crimean War so famous. They were pioneers in the medical trade and they sacrificed a lot to help others.
By the end of the war, around 300,000 soldiers had been killed. For perspective, around 10 million soldiers were killed during World War I.
However, there were far fewer soldiers fighting in the Crimean War, meaning that soldiers were more likely to die during the Crimean War than World War I.
By 1856, talk of a peace treaty had arisen. The war finally came to an end when it was signed in Paris at the end of March.
The outcome of all this was that the area being fought over was made a neutral zone, meaning that no one could build defences on this area. Well, I think we'd better head back.
I think we should.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
In 3, 2, 1.
That was really interesting, don't you think, Tom?
I'd agree, Beth. Now, I would love to learn some first aid just like Mary and Florence.
I'm glad you said that. Should we have a look at our mystery item this week?
Yes, so that must mean it's time for What's in the Box? I'm so excited. Let's see what's in there.
It's the sling. Did you know slings are used to raise the arm of an injured person so it can't move?
I didn't know that. How do we put one on?
It's pretty simple. We first need to hold up the triangle bandage so that the longest side is vertical and the arrow point is facing towards the injured side of the body. What you then need to do is have the patient lay the sling over the patient's body and have the patient move their injured arm across their body.
Just like this?
Exactly. You then need to take the bottom of the sling and fold it up so that it lays over the patient's shoulder. Now, if Tom turns around, we can see that all you have to do is tie the sling around the neck in a knot, like that. And if you want to make your sling even more secure, you can take a safety pin and put it in the side like this. And that is how you put a sling on.
Well, would you look at that? Why don't you guys and girls give it a try at home? Grab anybody, grab your mum, your dad, or even your dog. And don't worry if you don't have any bandages, because you can just use a jumper or a scarf.
Send us your photos by using the email address at the bottom of the screen and we'll show the best at the end.
Now, I think it's time for all of us to learn a little bit more about Mary Seacole, don't you think?
I agree. It's time for us to get to know Mary. What are you doing?
I'm cooking a parrot.
Why are you cooking a parrot?
Well, I'm pretending to be Mary. Did you know that Mary cooked parrots for the soldiers in Panama?
How bizarre. Is that true? What do you guys think at home? True or false?
It's true. Mary did cook parrots for the soldiers.
So what about the conditions Mary worked in?
Well, they were a lot different to what we have today. Let's take a look.
Modern hospitals provide patient treatment with expert staff and high-tech equipment. In comparison to times like the Crimean War, we now have better teaching and medical experience. Modern hospitals are also much safer and cleaner. Crimean War hospitals were unhygienic and, during operations, patients would often be in a lot of pain. Nowadays, doctors use anaesthetics and have a cleaner working environment. Hygiene, like clean equipment and rooms, make treating patients easier for doctors and surgeons, which will help save more lives compared to the Crimean War.
Wow, they really were different. I'm glad our hospitals are cleaner than they had back in the Crimean War.
I agree. Mary really did a tough time, but that's what makes her so gosh darn remarkable.
If the conditions were so poor, how did she manage to help the soldiers?
Well, she just had to cope with what she had. How about I show you?
Wow, that would be amazing. But I think we need an assistant.
Don't worry, I can help with that. Anna, can we borrow you for a second, please? You'd like to take a seat? Now, I'm going to amputate your hand. Now, don't worry, you won't feel a thing.
Are you not going to give her any anaesthetic so she can sleep through it?
Nope. Just like Mary, we don't have any. She made her own herbal remedies, which her mother taught her, to help soothe the pain. Now, this won't hurt a bit, but please don't try this at home. And there you have it. And don't worry guys, I didn't really cut Anna's hand off, but that's what would have happened in the Crimean War if you had a really bad injury. Thanks for that, Anna. Excellent.
Do we have time for some more fun facts about Mary?
I believe we do.
Great. Well, here's something you might not know. There were lots of rats in Mary's hospital, and one rat even chewed off the finger of her cook, Francis, while he slept.
Wow, that is gruesome. What do you think at home? True or false?
It's true. Mary's cook did get his finger chewed off by a rat.
That's a pretty good fact.
Remember to keep sending in your sling photos using the email address at the bottom of the screen, and we'll show them at the end of the programme. Now I think it's time for our versus battle.
Did you know that Florence Nightingale left a life of privilege and wealth in England to nurse the wounded in the Crimean War?
Well, Mary Seacole sold her home and put all of her money into helping the wounded soldiers.
But Nightingale didn't have her parents' support in going into nursing, and she was still determined.
Seacole had no support from the Nursing Council and was turned away 3 times after applying to join. She didn't let that stop her.
Nightingale had no experience before the Crimean War, but still came out to success.
Seacole was successful in all her attempts to help the wounded, but she built her own rest home.
Nightingale ran an enormous military operation, establishing a system to give better care for the soldiers.
Wow, well, I think we should call that a tie.
I agree. There were some pretty awesome facts in there. We hope you enjoyed them and learned something new about Mary Seacole.
Yeah, and just in case you didn't, here's a quick overview to help you go over what was in the show. Take it away, Tom.
Yeah. Big up my girl Mary. Well, the Seacole's in the house. Someone call a medic. Because I got some sick lyrics over here, yo. In a place called Ukraine in 1854, in the middle of the battles of the Crimean War, it was a makeshift hotel, and in the event of a soldier getting shot, then this is where he was sent. Be they bit by a bullet or they broken a rib, Mary Seacole would fix it, cause this was her crib. Fixing up those that the Russians would injure, as quick as a flash. She was a medical ninja! Laying down bandages like quality beats, accomplishing miraculous and marvelous feats, ensuring that the soldiers were never impeded. Mary was the hero, the crimmy you
Oh,
needed.
yeah.
Nightingale never went out onto the field in the midst of the battle to get people healed, but Seacole did, and she always returned. Grab an ice pack, Florence, you just got burned. Who was the battlefield's ultimate savior?
Seacole, Seacole.
Who helped the soldiers when they needed a favor?
Seacole, Seacole.
Whose freshly fried parrots were rich in flavor?
Seacole, Seacole.
So if you get shot, don't swear or curse. Just put in a call to your favorite nurse. Mary, quite contrary. Big up, you make it. It's gonna get hairy. Infection, blood loss, a bad case of gout. Your hemorrhoids are back or your elbow giving out. Whether it was a wound or a pain or an ache, you go and see the nurse who hailed from Jamaica. If you had a disease, then bandage wasn't an option. Mary'd have to whip up a herbal concoction. If a bad case of cholera was leaving you sore-eyed, she'd break out the vials of mercury chloride. In the middle of the night, should something come attacking, it wasn't a problem, cause Seacole was packing. People causing trouble from around the block, she'd rustle them up with a pop from a Glock. Her street cred was so high that to this date, any other nurse could only hope to equate to her numerous achievements, and this ain't no debate. Mary Seacole was the bomb. You got that, mate? Who healed the wounded and made them stronger?
Seacole, Seacole.
Who extended lives just that little bit longer?
Seacole, Seacole.
Who returned from the war without any wonder?
Seacole, Seacole.
So big up the word. Tell your sister, tell your brother. Mary Seacole was a world-class mother.